Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Daz.
I'm Gaynor.
Here we are, just two of us today.
Yes.
Patreon's your thing. Check out the link in the description. Loads and loads of stuff on there. Full watch-alongs to things like Modern Family, F is for Family, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Welcome to Wrexham. Yeah, there's loads of stuff on there.
Yeah.
Isn't there? Absolute Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something for everyone.
Yes.
10 states that hate outsiders. I've always been very welcomed in any state I've been to.
Yeah.
So I can't believe there's any.
Well, I think if you're a sleepy little town.
It says state, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I imagine certain towns will have. I know we're going through a big thing at the moment over in Europe where if you go to certain parts of Spain and Spanish islands, they don't want tourism.
No.
They don't like it because it's taking up all the housing.
Yeah.
And it's things like, and this is what this
it's
could be.
Up the price of housing.
This could be similar. They don't like housing prices in like Las Vegas, for example. Could be very expensive. So let's see what this is about. 10 states that hate outsiders.
We've all heard that saying, go west, young man, or move to the mountains. The grass is always greener. But what if that grass is greener because the locals watered, mowed, and fertilized it, and they don't want you there? Well, the first thing is, too bad. They don't have the right, authority, or ability to stop you from moving wherever you want. But for those of you considering a big move to anywhere in the US, you should know some states are basically rolling out the "we don't want you" mat in the form of comments, tweets, and collective side eyes when they find out you're from elsewhere. But fear not, these states, while a bit territorial about newcomers, still have some unique benefits that may convince you to stick around and put up with it. Today we're looking at the top 10 states that hate newcomers. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Montana. Montana, known as Big Sky Country, is a state where the population density is so low you can wander around for days and only encounter a cow or a deer. If you have California license plates on your car, those will probably be the friendliest faces you come across. You'd think with all that space, they would light up their highway exits like the Las Vegas Strip, trying to get you to stop. No, they got their own agenda. The locals are too busy hiking, hunting, and cursing those city folks invading their sacred ranch lands to give you much of a warm welcome. Sure, you'll get some stunning views of the Rocky Mountains, but trying to make friends? Good luck. They'd rather you stay in your car and just admire the scenery from a distance, leave some money behind, and leave. About them Rockies. On one side of the state,
I kind of understand that a little bit.
Yeah.
It's sort of like they've worked for what they've got, and they've got all that, and then you get some guy who's made it rich in a big city, wanting a bit of land, moving out there, not really knowing the ropes of what to do.
Probably being a bit arrogant.
Yeah, I kind of see that a little bit in that respect.
Yeah.
You know, whereas with me or someone like us, we'd go as a tourist.
Yeah.
It'd be more touristy stuff than rather than going to move there and stay there.
But I think even if we went to live there, it'd probably be a different story because we're from a different country.
Yeah, but they probably hate that even more.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be getting into their everyday lives.
No.
You know, I wouldn't try and take over their everyday life. You'd appreciate them. Whereas I think some people coming from other places might not appreciate their culture and what they're about.
Yeah.
the west side, you will find the Rockies and some of those beautiful landscapes this country has to offer. On the east side, they don't have much to look at unless you're into scrub brush and cow turds. More than any place in the state, you'd think this is where they'd have that welcome mat out. No, not at all. Now, if you want to get away from people, this is one of the best states to do it. I mean, solitude is key here. If that's not your thing, being around people, this is great. But if you like socializing and traffic, you're in the wrong place. Living here, you'll quickly learn that locals don't have time for tourists, let alone transplants, who don't know the difference between a bull or a steer. Finally, let's not forget about the winters. Are you a fan of cold? Well, if you said yes, Montana will teach you a new meaning to the word cold. It gets brutally cold here. And that's not just up in the Rockies, the entire state. And that's one of the first things that people from Montana will tell you to kind of, knock you off Montana's trail. Oh, the winters here are ugly. They're brutal. They are, but
looks like my Bob Ross painting, that.
It does, doesn't it? I was just thinking the same.
But they might make it sound a little bit worse just to knock you off their scent. Number 9, Wyoming. Wyoming, like Montana, is a great place to live if you don't like humans, but you love dirt and bushes. Sure, you get Instagram perfect photos of the Grand Tetons, but don't expect the locals to follow you back on your social media. The state motto is equal rights, but it really should be something like Wild Frontier. or no outsiders. But no, they stuck with the equal rights. The truth is, the residents of Wyoming have no interest in your big city ideas. They're much too busy navigating their off-road vehicles through sprawling wilderness, living life the way it was meant to be, if you're a hermit, like without people. The closest thing they have to a city is Cheyenne. The real kicker of Wyoming is the tax breaks. Wyoming has no state income tax, which is a plus for anyone who wants to spend their life quietly hoarding cash while avoiding eye contact with anyone from the government who might want to know the origin of all that cash. Of course, this is all part of their grand plan to keep you quiet and in your place, away from the ranchers, the cowboys, and the legendary solitude. They don't want you there. Wyoming is one of the states that has the most frequent amount of people telling you not to move there in the comments of any of my videos that include Wyoming. There's a few of them on this list, and I'm going to tell you about them. The cowboy state is one of the most protective states about its lifestyle and heritage.
I think that's where I want to live.
I just didn't think they all seem to be in that same location at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, you got Idaho now, but it's I think it's one of them where I think there's loads of places people say you don't want to go there, and when I've gone, it's been one of the nicest places I've gone to because I adapt into the culture of what their country or sounds about wherever you go.
Yeah.
Even if you go somewhere in the UK, then when you go, you adapt to their culture, you respect the laws, you respect the way of life.
Most people would think that you absolutely hate London. And you don't?
No, I don't. I can't. I hate the state it's in at the moment.
Yeah.
It's in a shit state at the moment. But as far as like as a capital city goes, it's one of the best in the world.
Yeah.
It's busy. It's hustle bustle. It's got everything you need.
Yeah.
But at the moment, it's in a shit state.
Yeah.
Through the crime and everything else that's going with it. But I don't hate London. I hate Londoners. I don't.
I don't hate anybody.
No, me neither.
Number 8, Idaho. Yep, we're going to stay up in the same area. Idaho is, let's face it, a potato-fueled paradise. But before you start dreaming of endless rows of tater tots, understand that the only thing harder to digest here than their world-famous potatoes is the idea of outsiders. Sure, it looks like the perfect place for you to raise your family and enjoy the outdoors. But if you're from elsewhere, don't expect to be part of the social circle anytime soon. Now, that's the thing about Idaho. It is one of the best places to raise a family. So it is very appealing to a lot of different people. They're not as vacant as Montana or Wyoming. That being said, they got plenty of open spaces and small towns. I may have mentioned this before, but I actually had someone from Post Falls who claimed to be part of the local government or something like that, that wanted me to take down a video where I said Post Falls was a great place to live. Sorry, Post Falls is a great place to live. They got great stats, great place to live. Just the local Karen doesn't want you to move there. All of the people of Idaho are so proud of their state that they've managed to keep it a hidden gem from all those pesky out-of-state movers. Until now, of course. I mean, they're all going to see this, and we're talking thousands and thousands of people tonight will decide that they're moving to Idaho based on my recommendation. And if you believe that, you could shake my leg and my nuts play jingle bells. Moving to Idaho means a life full of outdoor adventure, skiing in the winter, hiking in the summer, and pretending to be one with nature in between. But while those mountains look majestic, there's a catch. You'd better earn your spot in the community. Want to fit in? Well, first, better brush up on the local politics, learn how to fish, and above all, avoid looking too excited about anything. That's their thing. They're not excited about much. Nothing screams out-of-stater like smiling too much in Idaho. Oh, and speaking of the fishing, if you don't know your trout or your bass, just stay home. The locals here are serious about their fish. And
Yeah, it wouldn't fit in me there.
No.
Don't like fishing.
No, you don't.
they'll look at you suspicious if you can't handle a rod like a pro. But on the bright side, the state's low-cost living and lack of traffic will make you feel like you're the king of the mountain. Just don't expect anyone to greet you like royalty. They're actually going to chase you out of town if they find out. It's not that bad, but I'm sure some of them have thought about it. I've said this before, but if you move there from Southern California or California in general, when people ask where you came from, it is probably better for you to say you just got out of prison than you just came from California.
Good one. Ooh.
Number 7, Alaska. Alaska is the place where dreams come to freeze. From the vast, uninhabited wilderness to the rough, no-nonsense locals, it's a land where newcomers are typically viewed with the same enthusiasm as a mosquito bite. If you move here thinking you're going to join the I Love the Outdoor Club, think again. Unless you can build your own cabin, chop firewood, and survive grizzly bear encounters, you might want to look elsewhere. Alaska is very wild, and Alaska is very unpopulated. Alaska has 665,000 square miles. Number 2 is Texas, and they don't even have half. They have 268,000 square miles.
Yeah.
And only 2 states have fewer people. So it's totally weird that they don't want more people to move there. Matter of fact, they're actually losing population as we speak. The Alaskan lifestyle isn't for the faint of heart. And frankly, Alaskans will be the first to let you know that. With temperatures that can drop low enough to make your eyelashes freeze together, the locals take their isolation seriously. They don't need you coming in and asking how to survive the winters when you can't even handle a snowstorm in your home state. But here's the silver lining. The scenery is breathtaking. Just be prepared to view it from afar, while your neighbor gives you a side eye for ruining the quiet. If you love ice fishing, dog sledding, and silence, Alaska is the place for you. Just don't expect a warm welcome when you arrive. It's not that they're unfriendly, they're just too busy surviving the next polar vortex to really make friends.
That's a place we were talking about visiting.
I was going to say, I bet they absolutely hate when the cruise lines come in.
That's what I wanted. I want to go on the cruise, but I don't have much interest going on land.
Yeah.
But when the cruise ship goes, I have interest in seeing the glaciers and everything else that go with it.
Yeah.
But I have no interest in visiting Alaska, if that makes sense.
See, I do. I want to go and
I have no interest in going on land.
Yeah, see, I do.
I'd rather go to Seattle and the west coast up north, the northwest area. And visit there in Canada and all around there first before I went into before I actually visited land to Alaska. Yeah, no offense to Alaskans.
No.
We actually met some Alaskans when we were in New York, didn't they? Sat behind us.
Number 6, Utah. Utah is a wonderful place to live if you enjoy stunning desert landscapes, very strict rules about social behavior, and the occasional public shunning from your locals. Sure, the national parks here are stuff of Instagram legend, but don't be fooled. This state knows how to keep the outsiders away, or at least at arm's length. If you're not from here, the first thing you'll notice is they keep their distance. Sort of like that uncle at holiday parties that's usually a little too grabby. But if you're into hiking, rock climbing, and other activities that require you to somehow survive in the dry, scorching desert, then Utah's your playground. Enjoy it. Just be sure to keep your mouth shut about your big city ideas. Utah's another one of those that like to blame outsiders on any problem that goes on in that state. I mean, if there's a little bump in crime, they're going to blame it on Californians that have been moving there. I'm sure Californians do play a part, but they're not the only ones. That is always in the comment section about Utah. All the Californians that are moving here ruining the place. Look at Salt Lake City. It's a horrible place to live. Yeah, well, most cities are these days.
The one thing I do notice about when you travel around these different states like this and you do the stock photo or the stock video footage, scenery is incredible, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Scenery really is spectacular. Ooh, East Coast.
Number 5, New Hampshire. New Hampshire, home to beautiful foliage, hiking trails, and the infamous live free or die mentality. New Hampshire is a state with a deep pride in its independence, which means if you're thinking about moving here and you're not already a local, be prepared to be a loner for a bit. You'll quickly learn that the state motto isn't just a catchy slogan, it's a warning. If you come here looking to change anything, the locals will be more than happy to let you know they like things the way they are. And don't even try and blend in, it's not going to happen. New Hampshire residents will know that you're from out of state the second you hit the roads in anything that's not a Subaru. But, you know, even though people don't want you to move to New Hampshire, it's hard not to. I mean, their taxes, or lack thereof. If you're into saving money, New Hampshire is like a giant tax-free wonderland. No state income tax? Yes, please. But of course, don't expect the state's hospitality to match the tax benefits. There's a certain leave us alone attitude here that might make you feel more like an intruder than a resident. Now, in my experience, because I see the comments all the time, I don't get as many comments from people in the comment section from New Hampshire. It's always like Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and a few others. Colorado's a big one. We don't want you here. Don't come here. We're full. We get all that nonsense for those states. New Hampshire doesn't make a fuss. They keep it to themselves. And they send me horrible emails. They don't want their dirty laundry that they hate you out in the public. They want to keep it private in emails.
Funny.
Number 4, North Dakota. North Dakota's like that state your parents warned you about when they said you could move anywhere, but not there. It's cold, it's lonely, and the locals, they're not really fond of sharing their land with the rest of the world. In fact, if you show up uninvited to North Dakota, you might feel like the wind blowing through the plains, utterly ignored. The state prides itself on its wide open spaces and rugged charm, but the last thing they want is for those spaces to get a little crowded, especially from someone who doesn't know how to handle a proper winter storm. North Dakota is one of those states that thinks everyone else is a pansy. Honestly, every time I talk to someone, they just think because you come from someplace like, let's say, California, New York, or even Florida, you're just a sissy. You gotta survive a North Dakota winter to be a hard dude, apparently, to these people. But why live here?
Yorkshire.
Well, North Dakota offers unparalleled peace and quiet. I mean, it's up there with Wyoming and Montana, but North Dakota's a different kind of peace and quiet. I mean, as long as you'll like this place if you like peace and quiet, as long as peace and quiet involves sub-zero temperatures and a lack of nightlife. The state is also great for anyone who likes small-town living with a twist of old-fashioned values. The cost of living is low, and the sunsets over the endless prairie are absolutely stunning. You can't deny the state has those, and they're pretty cool. But be warned, if you show up with your fancy city coffee and expect a warm latte and a warmer welcome, you're out of luck. North Dakota drinks its coffee black or nothing at all. It's a way of life, not a trend. Oh, and the oil boom? Yeah, sure. It made a lot of North Dakota people rich, but it also brought in an influx of outsiders, and this put a bad taste in a lot of North Dakota residents' mouth. That was one of those things that it's a blessing, but it's also not. I mean, they needed people to work in the oil fields, and it got a lot of jobs, but yeah, was it worth it? I mean, they still have the oil fields. It's just sometimes booms and sometimes it doesn't. But they definitely don't want you moving there.
I guess people have got to start somewhere as well.
Yeah.
You know, the population's got to grow. But
it is like Yorkshire.
That's what I was going to say. It's that's the equivalent of our Yorkshire.
Yeah.
They don't like it. They don't like foreigners coming into Yorkshire, do they?
And also, if anything goes up, they complain about it.
Yeah.
Like,
price of that, price of bread. Oh.
Yeah, you'd think that living in Yorkshire was like, the cheapest place on earth.
Yeah, beautiful scenery. It's great county, but I'll tell you what, it's definitely the North Dakota.
The tight asses.
Yeah.
Vermont.
Love Vermont.
Number 3, Vermont. Vermont, the land of maple syrup, rolling green hills, and an abundance of no vacancy signs. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Vermont loves outsiders. With a catch, as long as they come as tourists, spend money, and then promptly leave. They're all on board with that. Move here, you'll quickly find out that Vermont's friendly exterior is about as genuine as off-brown syrup at a diner. Locals like their town small, their roads unpaved, and their neighbors non-existent. So why would you want to move there? Well, natural beauty is unmatched by most states. Between the charming covered bridges and the endless hiking trails, you'll feel like you've stepped into a postcard. But don't let the scenic vistas fool you. The locals have a low tolerance for transplants who don't understand the importance of composting or don't really own a Subaru. This is another state that loves their Subarus. Actually, this is the king state of Subaru owners. Look at this chart. I'm surprised Oregon's number 6. Actually, I'm kind of surprised Montana's number 7. Well, tied for 7. You'd think having that old West, America First lifestyle, they wouldn't be going for no Subarus. But Vermont definitely likes their Subarus. I have a Subaru, I like it. One thing to keep in mind if you do move to Vermont is don't be looking for chain restaurants and don't suggest they need more of them. Vermont prides itself on being as anti-corporate as possible. If you're not into farmers markets and co-ops, you're going to feel like an alien. And Vermont's another state that has some pretty brutal winters. I mean, New England, the whole northern part of the United States, it gets pretty cold. There's 2 colds you have to survive in Vermont. The cold winters and the cold shoulder from your neighbors when they find out you're not from there. If you survive a couple good winters in Vermont, the locals, they might warm up to you. Don't hold your breath.
Hawaii.
Number 2, Hawaii. Oh yes, Hawaii is one of the biggest complainers in the comment section of videos. They don't want people moving there. They wish it would have stopped, I don't know, around the 1800s. They had a nice little paradise going on back then, and then, Europeans decided to show up. But while the idea of living in a tropical haven might sound like a dream to some, the locals often view newcomers with skepticism, if not outright hostility. It's not personal, they've just seen way too many mainlanders show up, drive up the cost of living, and generally disrupt the island vibe. If you don't know how to respect the culture, the land, and the people, you're in for a rough ride. And that's one thing you can really say about the Hawaiian people. If you are respectful to their culture, they're a hell of a lot more welcoming. But Hawaii is a great place to live, so it makes sense why so many mainlanders show up there. Between its pristine beaches, lush rainforests, and vibrant culture, it's a paradise worth fighting for. Just don't expect to immediately absolutely be welcomed into the fold. The locals value community, and it takes some time to prove that you just aren't another tourist with delusions of living the island life. Bonus points if you learn a little bit of the Hawaiian language and show genuine respect to traditions, like I'd said. Of course, the cost of living might make you rethink your plans. The housing prices are sky high, and the groceries will make you wish you stayed on the mainland. But hey, if you could afford it and manage to avoid offending locals, you might just find yourself in one of the most beautiful places on earth. Just don't expect everyone to hold your hand while you figure it out.
Place I've never really fancied.
No,
You've
we
said it
both
before.
said that, haven't we?
Yeah. It's just a bit out there, isn't it?
It's a bit out there.
These
and
other places
it is very
I'd take.
expensive.
Yeah, these other places I'd take with similar scenery and setups.
Yeah, and the whole beach scene. I'm not a beach person.
No, but it's.
But I would love the forest.
Yeah, but again, you've got places like Thailand and places like which are very similar sort of setups. I know it's not an island and all that, but they've got the islands.
Yeah.
That you'd sort of like. I'd probably take that over Hawaii. First, but
yeah, and it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, correct.
All right, before we get to number one, the question of the day: which state do you think is the most welcoming to outsiders? Let me know in the comments section below. All right.
Where do you think number one is?
I think it's going to be another East Coast one,
I was going to say somewhere like South Carolina.
You was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think somewhere also that you might get these towns like Alabama.
Yeah.
Sort of like certain places in Alabama that might be a little bit unwelcome.
I'm not sure.
I'm going to go with South Carolina.
Okay.
But although it's got a lot of golf courses, so it kind of wants people to come in. But I think it's like we've got enough now.
On to number one.
Texas. Wow.
And number one, Texas. Yep, the Lone Star State takes the top spot. And let's be honest, Texans love their state more than just about any other state. I think New Jersey runs a close second, but Texas, they're the
places
top
where we
spot. And they'd like you to enjoy their state, but from afar. Move to Texas and you'll quickly learn that the only thing bigger than the state itself is the locals' pride in the state and their suspicion of anyone that isn't born there. You're not a Texan? Then bless your heart, but you're just visiting. Forever. You'll never become a Texan. Why is Texas a great place to live? Well, it's got everything. Booming cities like Austin, Dallas, Houston, even San Antonio to a degree, charming small towns, enough barbecue joints to clog your arteries for life. The cost of living, in most parts, is reasonable. And the job market is thriving. But fitting in? Oh, that's a whole different story. If you don't own at least one pair of cowboy boots and can't name a single Willie Nelson song, you might as well be from Mars. Texans are fiercely independent, and they expect you to be too. Don't come here trying to change their way of life. And for heaven's sake, don't mess with Texas. If you can embrace the heat, the quirks, and the constant reminder that everything's bigger in Texas, you might just survive. But remember, it's their state, you're just living in it, even if you're there 50 years. You're not a Texan. If you look at the comment section of any video I've ever done about Texas, you'll just see a whole bunch of people going, "We're full, don't come here trying to change our ways." It's always something like that. But that's one of their biggest complaints.
I love Texas.
Yeah, same. I mean, I love the USA, but it's and funny it mentions two states there. It's New Jersey and Texas. But I think don't go to change anyone's area.
No.
Don't go to anyone's. You won't go in someone's house and say, "Oh, your couch shouldn't be that way. It'd be that way," and don't have that colour couch or whatever it may be.
Course,
you won't go in someone's house and start changing the way they live in their house. Even if you're just staying there for 2 days, you just wouldn't do it.
No.
But going in and sort of like changing people's ways of lives and all that, people don't want that.
No, and,
anyway,
and like you say, you wouldn't do it.
When people come to Manchester and sort of like say, "Oh, do not this need?" I say, "Don't need anything. It's growing, it's vibrant, it's buzzing. Place is on fire," sort of thing. Just keep it as it is. Keep growing it. Keep watering it, and it'll come out the way you want it. But I agree with that with Texas. That might be our next place to visit. We're currently discussing places to come for our visit over in the new year.
Yeah, we're looking sort of March, April time.
Yeah, and so far we're thinking either Chicago, Boston was on the agenda, and then Texas is the other one.
It all depends on, like, I'm not going to Texas in the middle of the summer. It's too blooming hot.
No, that's why we're looking at places like it.
So Texas could go. in March, April would be perfect.
Yeah. So if you've got any suggestions, let us know.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed that. Let us know if he's right on the states that hate outsiders. I've always been very welcomed.
Yeah.
Wherever I've been in the USA, I've been to quite a lot of states.
Well, I was just thinking then, when we lived in Texas, how many Texans did we actually?
Oh, I met quite a few. I still know quite a few now through work.
But I'm saying, how many did we actually socialise with? It was a very transient expat community.
It was, yeah. I played soccer as well, so a lot of them are foreign, sort of like to the
Yeah.
because it was an adult league. A lot of the locals didn't play soccer, my age sort of thing. So a lot of them are foreign anyway. But I did meet a lot of
There was a
Texans
lot of
through
Scottish
work.
people
But
there.
it was, yeah, 'cause it's oil and gas, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you on the next one.
Bye.
Cheers.